Atta boy, nice throw.
Something about the sport of being able to go out with your teammates, to go through the grind. It's the fact that you go through the whole year, every day of the year, grinding blood, sweat, tears just for, 13, 14 games out of the whole 365 days of the year.
Let's get it!
I think that's something that's really cool about the sport is this brotherhood you develop, the relationships you develop with all these different guys to go through these hardships and adversities to finally come out on top.
I would even have him go out and throw with Tua and tell Leah when they were at camp. Coach Saban would ask me, "Who's this little kid you bring in here?" And I'm like, "That's Trent Seaborn. You're gonna notice him."
Make the screen, Seaborn down the sideline. Big play on third down.
The kid was just so determined to go to Alabama. It's always been his school.
And Seaborn for Hurd, a juggling catch, and Hurd is off to the races.
It's insane. I can't believe what's happening right now.
I was born in Hawaii. I grew up on the north side of the island in Waialua. My dad had lived there for quite a while when I was born there, and all I can remember was super country up there, like kind of what you think of typical Hawaii. Think of palm trees and papayas and mangoes, and that's kind of where I grew up in that sort of household.
Hawaii is a fantastic place to raise a family. We loved it. The culture there is very much centered around family. Extended family, the relationships you build, you grow close with people and you end up feeling more like relatives than just neighbors or friends. And just being outside and enjoying being at the beach or hiking or whatnot, free entertainment I used to call it. We just, instead of having to pay to take the kids someplace, we could literally bring a couple snorkels and masks and let them see tropical fish in the water for free.
Honestly, I love it. From all I can remember, it was amazing. One day my dad, he took me out to flag football one day, just local rec flag football, and according to what he said, I could spin it pretty well when I was real young. So he asked if I liked it. I said, yeah, I did. So we kind of continued with that. The first time I was given the handoff, I actually ran the wrong way. I ran to the opposite end zone.
There he goes. Wait, Trent, where are you going? Trent, no, you're going the wrong way.
I had, just for fun, had taught Trent how to do like a little 5-step drop and throw a football in a tire, and I thought it was pretty slick.
Atta boy, nice throw.
I put a post on Facebook, which a mutual friend called attention to a local quarterback coach there by the name of Vinny Passes. And Vinny is one who coached Marcus Mariota, Timmy Chang, Tua Tagovailoa, and pretty much every major quarterback that's come through Hawaii, Vinny has had a hand in.
And through that, my dad was talking to one of the parents, and they suggested my dad to take me to another clinic held on the west side of the island, and that was hosted by Tua's dad, Coach Nalu. And so my dad took me there one day, and a much smaller group.
And man, when I saw him throw, I was like, okay, man, this kid is pretty good for his age, you know what I'm saying? But that's just, at 6 years old, releasing the ball, I was like, wow, okay, we can work with this.
After the workout, Coach Nalu pulled me aside. He said, hey, Trent, I want to meet your dad. So, I brought my dad over to him.
And the first thing he said was, I just want to tell you, your son reminds me so much of my son at the same age. He said, it's like a time machine. I'm looking at my son at 5, 6 years old. And he said, I'm really impressed with how well he throws the ball. I'd love to work with him more. Can you bring him out?
In that group, that was Tua, Talia, Chevin Cordero, Jaren Sagapolu-Tele, bunch of big names now. But these are all kids that were in elementary school, middle school, high school.
It's like Coach Vinny's, but it's more intense. It's more work.
He coaches these kids as hard or harder than he coaches his own sons. It was a very big honor for Trent to be asked by Coach Nalu, and we were super grateful. And that's kind of what started it off. And this was all when Trent was, gosh, 5, 6 years old when it started, yeah.
You know, ever since then, you know, we developed a relationship with Coach Nalu, with the rest of their family, and I mean, they're like literally like family to us to this day. You know, knowing how great of a person he is, you know, getting to train with him back, you know, when he was in high school. And it's cool. I actually got this picture of me and him above my bed, one of our training sessions. I'm like 7 years old, and we're both doing this drop back drill, and he's probably like a sophomore or a junior in high school. But it's a really cool picture. So, you know, being able to see, you know, him, you know, grow up and being, you know, just being such a big position is super cool.
They moved to Alabaster, we moved to Colorado. And that actually made it easier for us to get out there to see them, and for Trent to continue training with Nalu.
Man, Jason was one of them fathers so determined. I mean, as far as where we were at, they would come over almost every month to train, or maybe twice a month to train.
We started seriously talking about, you know, Trent's future in football. And it was looking like, you know, it might be worth it to move somewhere where he could play for a program that was going to really develop him as a quarterback and give him a really good opportunity. During our previous visits, you know, we had met the coaches and Coach Mark, and, you know, developed a relationship and a friendship with him. But when my wife talked with him, and we shared a lot with each other about our faith. When we walked away from that conversation, my wife turned to me and she said, "I want our son to play for that man." And so then at that point it was, you know, how do we make it happen?
I mean, this is Alabama. There's just two things they believe in: is your faith, church, and football. That's what makes things go. And when they got here, they got to see that. They got to witness how big football is out here.
I was in 7th grade, I think, and I remember looking at the 8th and 9th graders when I first got up here. I was like, oh my gosh, these kids are huge. And these are just middle school and freshmen. I think this was during spring ball when I was in 7th grade. One of the drives, Coach Freeman had put me in with the ones, and this was ones versus ones. And one of the plays, I had like a design rollout to the right. You know, I'd do the rollout, get the ball out, and I was looking back at film, you know, later that night. And when I was looking back, Peter Woods was right in my face. And if it would have been a real game, I probably wouldn't be alive right now.
You know, and I had talks with Coach Freeman, like, man, Coach, I think this kid can make things work right now. You know what I'm saying?
And, you know, Trent was doing well. He was doing well in the spring, and he was kind of separating himself from some of the other kids. And eventually, like, they said, hey, he's the backup. And one day I was just curious. I said, have you ever had an 8th grade quarterback play varsity football in 7A? And I mean, they burst out in laughter. Are you kidding me? No, it's not possible. He cannot. It's 7A football. Like that's not going to happen.
This is Warrior Football.
And so, you know, leading into the playoffs, obviously, you know, Zach got injured in the last game of the year against Hoover.
I was like, oh man, I got to go in now. I had made it, you know, my job to learn the offense, to learn the plays as best as I could, to my knowledge, and to have the ability to where if anything did happen, any drastic situation, I'd be prepared for it.
Seaborn down the sideline. Big play on third down.
You know, Trent started the first game. They did really well. And then they kept winning. And then we were just like, let us get to the championship. Just let us get to the championship.
It's insane. I can't believe what's happening right now. I mean, it's been a huge journey this whole season. I couldn't have done it without my teammates, without my coaches.
You'll never see an 8th grader win a state title like that.
After that, you know, the whole thing happened, you know, my 8th grade year of the state championship, that's when offers kind of started rolling in a good bit. Obviously, you know, the big time schools, you know, they wanted to see, you know, more film and all that. So, I mean, they trickled in throughout, you know, the past 3 or 4 years. It wasn't like all at one time. But it was cool though, because I think every kid's dream is, you know, get their first offer. It's super cool. It's, you know, unlike any other experience. And then, you know, after that, they started coming in, trickling in, you know, one at a time throughout the years. It was after my 8th grade year. We were back in the 7-on-7 circuit again during the summer. After the pool play break, one of the GAs or assistants, you know, they come to our tent and they say, hey Trent, you know, come follow me. You know, we're gonna take you up to, you know, see Coach Saban. I was like, holy crap, like Coach Saban? Coach Saban walks out of his office to, you know, shake our hands. My little brother walks right past him. He's probably like 5 years old at the time. And so we all shake Saban's hand. We walk in, and my brother sits in Saban's chair. And like this was totally crazy. And we're like, Ty, get up. That's my little brother. And Coach Saban's like, no, he's okay. And, you know, eventually he gets to the part where he's like, you know, we want to extend you, you know, a scholarship. And like my whole family, like including me, like we just froze, like, a scholarship. And he was like, yeah, we want you to have the opportunity to play here. And like we were like totally elated, just absolutely blown away, because, you know, this was my dream school ever since Tua got there.
I remember we walked out of there and I kind of leaned over and I said, well, guess we're done. Like, got that wrapped up, you know, we don't need to go on any other visits. I mean, that was the brass ring. That was what he had always wanted. And I remember just being on cloud 9 for Trent and thinking, oh my gosh, what an incredible blessing for him.
But it was after the season, that was when Coach Saban retired, and so that we were kind of distraught, you know, after that. I think pretty much the whole world was. It was kind of like, you know, the stages of grief or whatever that they talk about. Like, you know, at first we're in denial, and then, you know, we finally accept the truth, and now we're in grief. Like it was crazy.
It was like a punch in the stomach. It was a feeling of just, oh, we had hoped that for Trent, and he had wanted that so bad too.
Now, you know, my parents and I are back to thinking like, okay, we got to go back to the drawing board. Obviously, we didn't cut off any pre-existing relationships we had with, you know, other coaches. That's something that, you know, my family and I, we hold value to is these relationships. And so, you know, we went and visited other schools, and, you know, we loved every school we went to. You know, every coach, every organization, their hospitality was all amazing. So it really made it hard to, you know, to end up choosing a school.
But there was always something I could tell that, like, he was saving a spot for Alabama. Like, you know, I'm not gonna fully allow myself to commit to any of these other places or to go forward on any of those things until I know for sure they don't want me.
We had to kind of develop a whole new relationship, you know, with the new staff. That next summer, you know, we went up there, and that was the first time we met Coach DeBoer, and it was Coach Sheridan, who was OC at the time. They were really cool. We thought they were great.
In the back of my mind, I kept thinking, okay, you know, when's it gonna happen? Here we go. This is it, big moment. And they said, all right, well, listen, you did outstanding today. Can't wait to see what you do this fall. Keep working, and we'll see you soon. We'd love to get you out for a game. Okay, thanks, Coach. Good. So we're walking away, and I kind of looked at Trent. He was just, like, he thought that was gonna be it. And I said, don't worry. I said, look, if you're good enough, you're 50 minutes away. They're gonna find you. They're not gonna not notice you if you're good enough.
Too locked in. Can't nothing get in between. You know that we're too locked in. As long as it's you and me, we always too locked in. Ride with it, die with it, yeah.
You know, but he was so determined. He was just like, Coach, Alabama's my school. There's no way that, you know what I'm saying, I'm not committing to this school.
Going into my junior year, we went back up there for 7-on-7. You know, we won the whole thing, did really well, and they offered me about a week or two later, and it was kind of the same moment for me when I got offered by Saban. You know, this was my dream offer. You know, it was super cool, and then and a few months later, in October, is when I committed. It's cool. I've talked to a lot of the players up there, and they all tell me about their first time. Like, there's no other experience like it. I mean, running out through that tunnel. I mean, I can't explain it for myself. I watch it from a different view, but I mean, from a fan's view, it's pretty cool. I can't imagine what it's like being a player. So that moment's gonna be pretty cool.
Boy, watching him run out of the tunnel at Bryant-Denny, yeah, I mean, that's something that, honestly, I'd be lying if I said I hadn't thought about. You know, my wife and I have see him put on a uniform, you know, for that team with that history, and to represent that by wearing the jersey out there from his home state, representing, you know, Alabama. It's gonna be incredible.
You and me, there's me and you locked in. Can't nothing get in between. You know that we too locked in. As long as it's you and me, we always too locked in. Ride with it, die with it, yeah. That's twin, that slime with it, yeah. I know they gon' try it, but know they get in between. You know that we too locked in.